Good evening and welcome to the November Supper Club. We are excited about another episode in our theme on faith in the 21st century. Yeah. We are looking at issues that shape our lives, but from a faith perspective, how do we respond as people of faith? Mm-hmm. And last month we did the environmental crisis and encouraged some thinking about that. And this month we are doing...
conversations that matter. And in some ways we thought that might even be a better place to have started, but we found a good video. You know, we're working with adding videos to the supper clubs this season, and it grounded some, it made sense with supper clubs, thought it would be a good grounding for what the work you all are doing, but it also, we got thinking about how important this is as our world changes. Conversations are becoming more important and really learning how to listen to each other. You know, the world's shifting, right? And so, we just thought we'd talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, in a climate that feels more polarized and more disparate in our views. We are all in our echo chambers hearing our own voices, and people who believe as we do or think as we do or read what we read, that what is it to really have conversation, not conversation that's polite, right, but conversation that engages us at a deeper level that we risk being changed.
That's right. And where there's some places where you see this kind of bubbling up, right? People are hungry for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, places of hope. There's a lot of people getting together usually over food with people who may have very different thoughts from them, right? So there's the supper. What's the Supper
Club Project has emerged and is gaining momentum around the country.
Conversation Project, there's a couple of these. Right?
And the Civil Conversations Project. So these really intentional small communities, grassroots movements of encouraging conversations that keep us from, or that will foster some change in our lives and thinking.
Being willing to sit down and break bread with people who think differently.
It's an old-fashioned idea.
What an idea.
Potlucks. Potlucks around the table and good conversation. I think that used to be called fellowship or something.
Hospitality.
Hospitality, right.
Well, which gets to, we do think as people of faith that we bring something, we have some history.
Yes.
We have a tradition that welcomes the stranger, that welcomes those who are different from us, and honors that difference and says, you are a child of God, for example. That's one of our, there's some good theology that can help us do this, right?
So what if we've chosen 4 principles that guide why we would be, as a people of faith, committed to good conversations. And one of them is this: we are all inherent children of God, beloved, and given dignity as God's children to
so
bring
this
to
person
the
in
table.
front of you, no matter how you might disagree with them, they have value, and if you can give them that, you're already so much further along the road to both of you feeling like you can connect here and learn from each other. Right. And then equally, out of our faith is the understanding that none of us have a corner on the market of being right. We are all flawed, and we are all in need of grace, and so coming into the conversation with some humility.
Absolutely, absolutely, that we are both beloved children of God and flawed human beings, and hold those. And a belief that we are interdependent. Remember Paul's words to the church at Corinth, that the body of Christ is diverse. We have different gifts. We are different parts, but we are not whole without each other. And so this theological conviction about our interdependency is essential at this time.
And lastly, we have a long tradition of hospitality, that Christian charity, Christian hospitality, that we're going to open our doors to those who are different from us. Absolutely. That's the place you start from.
Right. And again, the perfect place to do that is around a table, having a meal together. It's the quintessential emblem of hospitality.
Well, it's funny, when we started supper clubs, 10 years ago, something like that?
I wasn't here.
We did, one of the things I remember we would talk about is have conversations that matter. Don't just sit around the table and talk about your vacation and how the kids are doing and all that stuff. We can be different. We can take a risk, really, which is really at the heart of this, right?
Right.
That the difference between coming in as experts and I know everything and you're here to listen, or I'm only going to be with people I agree with. I mean, I'm going to sit with people that are different. It's risky.
Right. And I love this about the supper clubs. Most supper clubs are fashioned around folks who don't know each other that well and really don't know what perspectives.
We don't know their politics when we put them together. We don't know
exactly
their experiences.
Yeah. So that's fun. And then around a topic that matters. That gives them some substance. Yeah. So that's great. So being vulnerable around the table together is a priority, being honest and listening to one another. Now, listening to one another is a very easy thing to say. We must listen. But what does that really mean?
What'd you say?
Funny. Anyway, so how are we going to talk about that?
It's practical. At the end of the day, we just think, we can talk about the country and how divided we are, but really at the end of the day, we really do have to listen to each other. And we found a video that we think is, practical, but good advice, maybe a few ideas you haven't heard. And at the end of the day, it is, she's arguing, you really do have to listen.
Yeah. So this Celeste Headlee was an NPR radio show host. She's actually been on many NPR shows. She's a journalist, and she's an author of a book called We Need to Talk: How to Have Conversations That Matter. And the book is really shaped around 10 rules that we should follow when we have, and how to have good conversation. That can be in a group, that can be, one-on-one, that could be with your spouses and partners, with your children. I think these are really helpful. Yeah.
So watch the video, and then some questions or ways of shaping your conversation. Find one that's really difficult for you. One of the tips of the 10. If you're not sure, just ask your spouse or someone
else at the table.
Yeah, they'll help you. And then maybe this is the same one, but maybe it's not one. Choose one that you'll agree to intentionally work on over the next month, and then maybe at the next supper club you could report back. Say, I've been working on this one, trying to get better at it.
Change. Yeah. And then maybe the third one is give an example of a conversation that you can recollect that actually changed you in some way, changed your thinking, changed your perspective, changed your understanding of yourself. So a good conversation that reflects what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good luck.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night.